Alright, and now that we've looked at the scenario manager, let's look at a few other things that what if analysis will do for us. So let's go back to the data tab.
Okay.
And of course, in the data tab, we were in the data tools group, and we were dealing with what if analysis, the last button on the data tools. If you click there, you'll notice that there is something called data table and goal seek. Let's look at data table first, because what I can do is create a table below my data that shows me some changing values. Now let's go on and cancel that, because we're going to have to set up a few things first.
All right.
So let's say, starting in cell A12, I'm going to go down the column and type in various hours worked. Maybe we're considering changing the number of hours people work.
Okay.
So let's start with 25 and do by 5-hour increments up to 40.
Okay, there you go.
So we have 25, 30, 35, and 40. Now in cell B11, which is above the column where we're going to see the salaries change, we're going to put in the formula to calculate this, and we're going to basically work with the formula on whichever row of our data we want to do. So let's say we're looking at Jill Taylor.
Okay. Row 3.
Well, the formula to calculate the salary would be what?
Let's see, we would take her hourly rate multiplied times the hours worked.
Right. So equals?
It looks like G3 multiplied by H3.
Right. Okay. Now you highlight the range A11 through B15. That is the range that includes the formula and the changing hours that we're considering. Obviously, those blank cells in B12 through B15 is where we want to see the salary changes.
Okay.
All right. Now let's go back to our data tab and our what if analysis and click on there and choose data table. Now you'll notice there's a row input cell or a column input cell. And at this point, we're only doing one input. And if you look, where our data is going to come in is in the row or the column.
It's in a column.
Right, so this will be our column input cell. So you're going to click on the little red arrow, or you can just type in the cell reference, whichever you want. But what variable are we changing here?
We are changing the hours worked.
Which is in cell what?
H3.
Right, so we need to tell it which part of that formula you did in cell B11 to replace the information with.
Okay.
So it would be cell H3. So go on and type that in, or you can select the cell and click OK. And there you have it. We now have if she works 25 hours, if she works 30 hours, if she works 35, if she works 40.
Okay, so what this helps me understand is that if we want to bump Jill Taylor's hours up or down, either way, how that could affect our bottom line on a weekly basis, because it will take those hours that she would work into consideration and multiply times the hourly rate, because that's the formula that we put in there, and then give us some options there.
Correct.
Okay, great.
Right. And if you wanted to calculate this for anybody else, then you could create one for each individual person.
Okay.
Okay. Now that's a one input. We can do a data table that looks at two variables changing.
Okay.
So maybe we want to consider changing how much we're paying people and how many hours they're working.
Okay.
So let's do a data table for that one. Let's come down. Let's start about on cell A19. Let's go about there. Come down.
Okay.
And let's just put in the same thing, 25, 30, 35, 40. Just coming down the column. Oops.
Oops. Let's do this. All right. Okay.
All right. And then we're going to put, starting in cell B18, the changing variable on the hourly rate. So let's say we're considering everything from maybe $17 an hour, bumping up by about $3 an hour up to, I don't know, let's do 17, 20, 23, 26, and 29.
Okay. So I start off with 17 here?
Yeah, 17. And just tab on over and just increase by 3 up to 29.
You're challenging my math skills.
26 and 29.
Okay.
Now in this case, our formula has to go in cell A18. So it goes in the cross section.
Okay.
And our formula, of course, is still the same formula, the hourly rate times the hours worked. All right, so we have that same formula equals G3 times H3 in our corner cell there where they intersect each other. So I want you to highlight the range just like we did before.
Let's see. That would be A18 through F22.
Right. And where did we go to do this?
It was in the what if analysis and data table.
Right. Now you have two inputs. Your
Okay.
column input would be
It would be the hours worked.
correct, which is which cell?
This would be this guy right here.
Mm-hmm.
H3.
Yeah. Now, how did you know that was your column input?
Because that's what we did last time.
That's why I asked you, because I don't want you just mimicking. I want you to know, why do we know that's the column input?
Because that's what's in this column here.
Right. We have data in a column. We also have data in a row. So the data in the column replaces H3 in the formula.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now the numbers in the row is what we want to put in the row input cell. So they represent which information?
The hourly rate.
Right. And that's cell G3.
Okay.
Now we click OK. And you get a table that lets you compare the rate against the hours worked and see what you want to do with your budget.
Oh, okay. So all of these numbers represent the hours worked multiplied times the hourly rate, and where those intersect, that would be the cost to the organization.
That would be the salary for that person.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
Okay. Christina, where do you think you could use this in your business?
Well, I think that any time that I have one item in a decision that's a variable, I could definitely use the one data table. And then if there's two variables that are competing, I can use the two data table. Now, what I'm thinking about perhaps is when we're trying to make a decision with vendors and we have two main things that we're trying to measure against, or maybe cost of a product.
Okay.
So those are some things that are kind of rolling around, but I can see where this can be applied in many different instances.